The wife of Enugu State Governor, Mrs. Nkechi has expressed her resolve to support all efforts aimed at eradicating gender-based violence, which she described as hydra-headed monster in the state. Mrs. Mba stated this at a validation meeting for the State Action Plan on Violence Against Women and Girls in Enugu State, held at the Conference Hall of the Ministry of Gender Affairs, Children and Social Development. Represented by her technical assistant on gender, Dr. Uzoamaka Uzeshina, Mrs. Mba commended members of the State Coalition of Gender-Based Violence Prevention Service Providers for their dedication to the fight against gender-based violence. She expressed concern over the new dimension violence against women and girls has taken and advocated a multifaceted approach to addressing the menace.
The issue of GBV is daily taking a new turn. And when you think you are combating it, it's even expanding. Growing is faceted, it's hydra-headed issue it has become. It's highly phenomenal and looking as if it's incompatible. It cannot be combated. Problem here and there. So any action plan, any program to fight this, what do I call it, monster, is welcomed by Her Excellency. So this validation is quite apt and not out of place. Last week we were discussing on survivor-centered action because we are very proactive. As if to say, you know what we want to move into. No, not that we have already gotten there, but we have discovered that often the survivors of this act are neglected. They are not even remembered. And then we are now saying, and what next? Anything we are doing to save our people from GBV will be very much holistic and achievable, something you can achieve and nod your head and say, yes, I've been able to do this. You save a woman from her husband's beating, or a man. The man, forgive me, if we save you from your wife's battering, what next? Where do we go from there? If we refer you to a lawyer, where do you go from there? If we refer you to a shelter, where do you go from there? You know, these are things we have done in a workshop, and the validation at this point in time and looking at the survivors and every issue around it is a wonderful concept and very much welcome.
On her part, the Commissioner for Gender Affairs, Children and Social Development, Mrs. Ngozi Eni, represented by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Mrs. Nkechi, called for closer collaboration with critical stakeholders in the fight against gender-based violence in the state. She expressed the hope that the State Action Plan on Preventing Violence Against Women and Girls will be validated by all stakeholders.
When we came on board, there are existing limitations in the respect of GBV programs in this office. There are unharmonized data. And the government can do it alone. This ministry can do it alone. So when GICO came on as an implementing partner that has collaborated and partnered with this office in that aspect, we welcome them because it was a welcome development. It's very, very apt and timely that they came on board and decided to partner with this office on how to develop a state action plan. And it is believed that since a lot of sectors are here, the relevant stakeholders, relevant role players are here, there's going to be buy-in of this action plan. Because contributions coming from the various sectors will help to beef up whatever is in the action plan. And then after the validation meeting, by the time it will be launched, it will be approved, and we will get to the stage of stepping it down to people at the grassroots. You see that there wouldn't be much ado about it because of the people that are here. Because you brainstorm now, you will review, you put in your own, it will be assessed, and then at the end of the day, a complete and concrete policy will be achieved. There will be resolved.
Also speaking, the Executive Director of Global Initiative of Development, Care of Women and Youths, Git Kowe, Ngozi Ebo, disclosed that the state action plan will go a long way in strengthening the fight against gender-based violence in the state. According to her, the mandate of the coalition is to deliver to Enugu State an action plan of violence against women and girls, as well as a referral protocol pathway for gender-based violence survivors in the state. She disclosed that Enugu is the first state in the southeast that has made attempt to have state action plan on GBV prevention.
These are key policy makers who would ensure that at the time we need to implement and push it into being a policy document, we will not have any hitch towards doing that. In Enugu, as we speak, we don't really have so much data when it comes to violence against women and girls. There is nothing to fall back on. I think the only document we have now is the Vows Act. So the state action plan becomes another empowering document that would enable the fight against gender-based violence. So it becomes a law and cascaded throughout the local government areas of the state, throughout all the organizations that make up Enugu State. That way, there is more information out to the people to understand what gender-based violence is about and what constitutes a threat to society. As it is now, apart from the Vows Act, we don't have any document that we could fall back on in Enugu State as a policy document on gender-based violence prevention.
Thank you.